Hello all and welcome to another Caffeinated Timid video. It's Art here with the book review for Feast for Fire and Blood, the George R.R. Martin Targaryen history book, read to me by Simon Vance because I listened to it on Audible. It was a full day, 16 hours and 33 minutes of a romp of a book. It was fun. It was not book 6. So anybody who thinks it may be book 6, you're dead wrong. You're not right on that. It's not book 6. It is more of an oral history of the Targaryen lineage of ruling party, and it's a oral history therein of a history of Westeros and the free cities, told through the lens of the Targaryen lineage and the lineage of dragons. In a bit spots, because they keep repeating names, it's easy to get confused about who they're talking about and who may or may not be. So that is perfectly possible to be confused and to be downright lost at points. I was able to keep track of it though because of close listening. Also, a timeline a buddy of mine gave me, towerofthehand.net, I believe, is a good research for the George R.R. Martin Song of Ice and Fire written world, and of course the show too. So it's all good on that front. But in the sense of it was an oral history, the narrative was good, although albeit disjointed because of the historical nature, because there are gaps in the books and there are gaps in the story. So in that sense, it was a little bit disjointed, a little bit looser than your mainline Song of Ice and Fire books, I guess is the best way I can put it. It's not as tight, not as gripping, we'll say. It's gripping, but it's just not as tight and not nearly as strung together, because it's a narrative, but it's a historical narrative. That's the key here. But I found it very interesting and very informative. It was written well because it had that oral history, old feel vibe to it. Written very well in that sense, because it felt like an old-time text. It felt as though you're reading an old leather book found in an ancient library in, say, Greece or England, for our references and for the purpose of our history. It fills in yet more of the tangential side work because it lays the groundwork of why the Mad King was the Mad King. Of course, you don't see the Mad King in the books or the story, but he is talked about as being an off-stage character. So in this sense, you see his rule and other in his family rule from a historical text nature, and sometimes from their own diaries, if you will, like from their own journals and their own writings. So he really leans heavily into the historical narrative, even though it is a work of fiction. Still, he leans heavily into the historical narrative and into the historical telling. At times, it did feel like a long book. and at times it felt like a Martin masterpiece. It does make me want book 6 more, even though we are getting the final season of the show on HBO this year. It makes me want the books that much more, because I want to know what's going on with our characters. And of course, there are more characters in the books than they have time to put in the show. So, let that be said. I wrestled, even when listening to it, what I would give it on my own scale and on the GoodReads scale. And the only thing I can come up with is that I know I want a physical copy of it to adorn my shelves along with the other 5 books that are currently out. Well, 6 if you count the 100,000 Nights or whatever it's called. I forget what that's called. But there's 5 main stories and 2 offshoot books. So there's 7 books total, but only 5 main books. I'm going to have to give it a very solid 4 out of 5. The reason I say 4 out of 5 is because not a lot of people will go into it thinking it's book 6 when it's just not. It is not The Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring. It is not either one of those books. It is a historical text, as though you would like to find in any library, in any old library in this country. It is slow in parts, but it is a pulse-pounding page-turner in parts too. It has that Martin-esque feel to it. So in that sense, it's both great and bad. So for me, that's a 4 out of 5, because you have to ding a star for it kind of falling off, it kind of being not what you're expecting for most readers. For me, I knew what I was getting into, but it didn't live up to what it should have. In that sense, for me too, it's a read it, own it, love it. Gotta have it for my own collection. I don't know what it is for you, but if you're any type of Song of Ice and Fire fan, Game of Thrones fan, you too will want this book in your collection, because it's treated with the same high regard as the other books, and the artwork in it is beautiful. I have seen some of the artwork, and the cover art is gorgeous all in of its own. So that is that for this book, because I really can't go into the stories without spoiling the book, and you guys know I do spoiler-free reviews here. If this sounds like something you are interested in, now that you know what it is, and there are points that'll be top-notch and great, and there are points that'll be mind-numbingly boring, because it is a historical text, so they lean into that historical verbiage and the historical importance of things. If you like that, this book is for you. If you don't, The Winds of Winter is coming soon-ish. More-ish, but soon-ish. So without further ado, you know I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Please ding the notification bell to be notified when I upload a video. As you guys know, you're going to be getting a barrage of mini videos in the coming weeks for the Mystery Thriller Mayhem month. That is my birthday month. So without further ado, Happy reading, everybody. May the winds of winter guide us into greatness if he ever gets the book done. Happy reading, everybody. I'll see you again soon. And peace.